Hey everybody, welcome back to my RV kitchen. I'm not sure if you're aware, many people probably aren't, but as a part of the Cook With Me series on this channel, we do like an iconic city sandwich series. And tonight we're going to be focusing on the Harlem chopped cheese. I've never had one. Admittedly, I'm going to take some creative liberty with how I make it, but I do want to try to stay true to a lot of the essential ingredients of the ground beef, as well as the shredded lettuce, the American cheese. I'm going to use something very traditional to South Texas when we think about seasoning our ground beef down this far, in deep South Texas. I'm going to use that, but feel free to take some liberties with your recipe and what you use locally. But we're going to jump into the Harlem chopped cheese tonight, just because we can, and it's fun. Yeah, that might not always be all that cool, but we're going to start with ripping some of the onion. I'm probably just going to thin slice this. Admittedly, I don't know if they do this in small chunks. I think I read that it was just small chunks, but I prefer like caramelized onion. So I'm going to go ahead and try to thin slice this real quick and then just try to caramelize those thin slices. So let me get into that. So after we get those onions sliced pretty thin as we can get them, then I'm just going to get a pan. I'm going to get it heating up with some olive oil. There will be some butter going into this for the caramelized onions as well. All right, I am definitely not sponsored by Fiesta or Boulner Spices here, but I don't dislike, talking about a really good product. Anytime I'm making vegetables, caramelizing them, sauteing them, pretty much anything. Olive oil of some sort or good oil is always going to go in the pan for oven roasted vegetables. Odds are I'm putting veggie sprinkles all over them. It's simple, it's easy, and something as simple as just a sliced tomato or sliced cucumber goes a long way with even something that you're not cooking. So season your vegetables how you like to season them, but this one is one of those audibles that I'm calling. And once your pan starts to sizzle there with your test piece, I'm going to go ahead and get these in. They're on high heat right now. I'm going to get them in, I'm going to get them going, and then I'm going to dial down the heat and add some butter to caramelize these. Just going to let these go just for a couple of minutes on this higher heat. Then we're going to back the temperature down and add some butter. All right, so one of the audibles I'm calling is that I think these are traditionally just served with just, ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise. Well, I'm gonna make think like Big Mac sauce, but with just a little bit of a kick to it. Again, one of the audibles that I'm calling. So I'm just gonna try to chop up some pickles here. There will be some pickles that go on the actual sandwich itself, but these are gonna get mixed in with the sauce that I'm gonna make to kind of slather on to the bread. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna do kind of just a really rough chop, but because these are the pickles that are going in the sauce, I'm going to try to make them a little bit finer. And because I don't ever think that you can have too many pickles, I'm just going to cut up a few of these to put on the sandwich itself with the lettuce and tomato as a garnish, in addition to some of the pickles that went into the sauce. Just a few. And if I don't happen to use all of it, well, then I'll just eat them. Because I can. As a matter of fact, this piece right here, that's for me. Okay, one of the other audibles, I'm going to use just a little bit of jalapeno within the sauce. So I just used a little bit of this the other day just to put a little bit of extra heat in something that I was making. So I have one left. I'm going to use just a little bit of it. And again, this is just going to go into the sauce. I don't really want big chunks of this, so I'm going to try to take some time here and just get these as small of a dice as I can get them. And we'll do this a couple of times just to work it in. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these in here. Wash your hands really well. Wash the cutting board really well. I've made that mistake plenty of times where I didn't. But this sauce now is going to have, the next thing I'm going to put in is I'm going to put in some mayonnaise. My mother-in-law gave this to me. I think she bought the wrong kind. She didn't want light mayonnaise, but you know what? I'll take it since a whole lot of it's going into this right now. So I'm going to get the mayonnaise and I'm going to get the mustard and we're going to get that in, mix it all up. I will add just probably a little bit of pickle juice as well. You know, and I have rough measurements. I will include the rough measurements from the recipe that I worked out. I'll honestly probably end up adjusting those measurements just because I like this sauce. And oh, by the way, this sauce, I'm actually going to make plenty of it because it's going to go on something for tomorrow night's dinner as well. I do think I want to thin this out just a little bit. Probably not a whole lot, but I do like the extra flavor of the pickle. Gosh, and I dribbled seriously good pickle juice right there. That's so sad. But anyway, you get the idea. We're gonna mix this up. I probably could have chopped those pickles a little bit finer, but I like pickles, so I'm not terribly worried about it. This is what's gonna get lathered onto some toasted bread. And like I said, tomorrow, some leftovers are going for something else. So we haven't forgotten about these. These are over here. I did add just a tiny bit of butter, and I'm going for a little bit deeper of a caramelization on these. Again, if I have leftovers, I love onions, so if I have leftovers, they'll go on a salad later on in the week. That's not a problem whatsoever. I'm going to get just a little bit more color on these, and then we'll continue on. You know, it was about to be a really sad day, because for a hot second, I thought I didn't have any tomatoes, but I knew I just purchased some. Yeah, they were hidden. They were hidden. It happens. I'm going to slice these up. Honestly, just one will do it. I love tomatoes, but they tend to fall off most of my sandwiches. So again, I'm going to hit them with some of the veggie sprinkles, and they're going to be ready to go on the sandwich when everything all comes together. You know, I don't really know if I'm pretty sure, but I don't really know for sure if once you pickle a cucumber, because a cucumber is still a vegetable, and I like veggie sprinkles on cucumbers. It's got to work on these pickles too, right? Anyway, I really wanted the veggie sprinkles on the tomatoes because I just slice up tomatoes and put veggie sprinkles on it with a little bit of balsamic and eat that as a snack. But since it's just in this bowl right now, this is just kind of the condiments waiting to go on. The shredded lettuce is just in a bag. That'll come later. But for right now, this will work. So these onions, they're getting there. I want just a tiny bit more color. You still see some of these onions are still pretty yellow. They don't have quite the coloring on it yet, so I'm just going to give it just a couple more minutes, and then we're going to put these out, put these in a separate bowl, and then we're going to brown the ground chuck. Okay, so now in this same pan that I caramelized those onions, I just put in roughly a pound más o menos of ground chuck, 80-20. I'm going to break this up. I'm going to season it with what I would season something, here in, deep South Texas. This is where I'm calling my audible. You season it with what you like, wherever you might happen to be, or with what you like. Okay, so these probably are not the traditional roll to serve Harlem chopped cheeses on, but when you live in South Texas, and you want just like a fresh bun that was made that day, you grab a bolio. That's just what you do. So one of those, additional audibles, I'm just going to open this up. Try to leave it somewhat connected to try to create a little bit of a hinge to hopefully hold some of the stuff inside. But we're going to get ready to slather on some of that sauce that I made. Okay, so with this sauce, I'm just going to put a generous dollop on each side, spread it out. Now again, I think these sandwiches are traditional in terms of, ketchup, mayo, mustard, those types of things. I can't. I'll include the story below because I was researching the story of where these things were created. It makes sense that the deli that serves these, that was famous for starting this, is open 24/7. I can see how something like this might be really pretty, just good and tasty and homey feeling, comforting, well into the night or something like that. But honestly, it could be great for just a grab and go at lunch too. So again, generous dollop. I didn't say it was healthy. I did use light mayonnaise, but a good dollop here. Just spread it out. We'll get ready to finish assembling the rest. All right, I'm gonna go down on the bottom layer with just a layer of these caramelized onions. Get that layer down here. Again, I like onions. I am gonna make a sandwich for tomorrow for lunchtime, but I envision still having you know, some leftovers of the onions and things like that, especially the sauce, because I'll be able to utilize that later on in the week. But a nice layer of caramelized onions will go down first. All right, simple American cheese here. I'm gonna add 2 slices of cheese because I like this American cheese. My spouse makes fun of me a little bit, not really, but all in good, you know, in good fun for this cheese. It's, I don't know, but man, there's nothing better than it would, you know, on a grilled cheese sandwich or something. It just melts a whole lot easier. But so the next layer that's going to come down is the ground beef, and then I'm going to put another piece of cheese on top of that layer. Then I'm going to add the lettuce, then I'm going to add the tomato, and then we're going to like close it all up. So this next layer, I hope my camera doesn't die, we're going to add in some of this ground beef here. Again, I seasoned it with things that I might find seasoning wise down here in way South Texas. Call your own audible here. I am trying to pay homage to, you know, I am trying to pay homage to the Harlem chopped cheese, but sometimes you got to go with flavors that you find regionally or locally. That's not a problem. When next time I'm in, you know, New York, we'll try to make it a point to get there. Having said that, use the ingredients that you guys have locally. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to add one more layer on here, and then I'm going to get on the pickles, the lettuce, and the tomato. All right, so while this meat is still hot, before the lettuce, pickles, and tomatoes, I'm going to add another slice of, ooh, fell off. It's all right. It's all going to the same place. Let's not overthink this. It's fine. I'm going to add that on there. I just have some shaved lettuce, if you will. You have to like unhinge your jaw to eat this sandwich. I assume that means we're doing something right. You know, what do I know though? I'm taking a recipe from the internet. I'm modifying it a little bit. We're making it our own because we're using some ingredients that we got here locally, some seasonings from locally, all while paying tribute to the Harlem chopped cheese. I'm just going to add these on here and it's going to fall off. That is to be expected. But you know what? It's still going to taste really good. I'm going to try to squeeze a few more of those on. All right, but would you look at this? You smush it down. But Harlem chopped cheese, definitely a South Texas style because of the South Texas seasoning within the ground beef. Shredded lettuce, tomato, pickles, American cheese. They said that when you go to the actual place in New York, take it to the park that's nearby, and yeah, you're gonna need some napkins. We're gonna give this a try. Hang on, you gotta get one more. It's messy, but it's mighty tasty. Until next time, try stuff like this. Live life outside of the work that you do. Not everything has to be perfect. Give it your best go. You're probably going to turn out okay. Thanks for joining.